Welcome to the Light and Dark podcast. I'm your host, Sam Renfro. In this podcast, we'll explore what it means to be fully human, embracing all aspects of the human experience, the light and the dark. We'll discuss all things health and wellness, spirituality, and everything in between. And I'll share all of the impactful tools and lessons that I've learned on this planet so far. The light is within you. Can you feel it? Okay, hello and welcome back to the Light and Dark podcast. I'm your host, Sam Renfro, and today we have a very special episode. This is the first time that I am bringing on a guest to the podcast, to the platform. Her name is Susan von Thun. She's a yogi, a scientist, a sound healer, and a world of other things. And if you don't know me personally, you also might not know that she's my partner. So we're here in our house recording this amazing episode, and I really just want it to be this free-flowing conversation. So we'll get into who she is a little bit more, and then we'll start really diving into this year and this special moment in time. So without further ado, Susan, you want to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be your first guest on the podcast. You want me to say something about myself?
Yeah, well, I guess just...
Can we have some tea?
Yeah, for sure. So that's where I was going. I really want to call these tea sessions, and we talked about maybe doing this once a month where we just sit and have tea and talk. So
and
today...
for people who don't know us, we drink a lot of tea.
Yes, we love tea. That is one of the special perks of being with Susan, is there is a house full of tea, and like, not even kidding, a ridiculous amount of tea. So today we're drinking pu'er, per usual. If you don't know what pu'er is, it is the easiest way to describe it is like a fermented aged black tea that is expertly processed. It's all from China. So this one is
or other parts of Asia.
Or other parts of Asia, like Taiwan. And so this one is from Yunnan, China. It is from 2004, and it's a Fuzi aged ripe pu'er, and it's called Happiness.
And do you want to mention the
living
tea?
One of Susan's friends who she got to meet, a couple years ago now?
Quite a few years.
Quite a few years ago. His name's Colin. He has an amazing company called Living Tea, and it's where we get most of our tea from. And I will be offering a discount code for anyone who's interested in developing a tea practice later on in the episode. So let's have some tea.
Okay.
And while I'm pouring this, do you want to dive into... Just maybe you want to share your story a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got from A to B.
Okay, I'll do the Cliff's Notes version.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a scientist, a yogi, an energy worker, a sound healer, a communicator. I do all sorts of things that may seem like polarities in some ways, but that's like one of the things that I've found in my life that I really try to live outside the box. I definitely grew up in a family where this is the way we do things, and this is how things are, and we very much follow the rules, and I still, I'm sure, have a lot of that conditioning within me, and I also have this deep intuitive sense that has guided me throughout my whole life. And I'm a Pisces sun and Aquarius rising, and so it just really has led me. I've leaned into that intuition, and these intuitive gifts have gotten greater and greater as I've dove deeper into spiritual lineages and traditions and practices. And one of the things that really, I kind of was always into yoga. I took my first yoga class in college many years ago and kind of found my way back to it after graduate school. And I really just, I remember at the time, it was funny. I went with an ex-boyfriend. He had heard about this place, Try Yoga in Santa Cruz, and he's like, "Oh, I know somebody who said this is the best yoga place." And he and I went to our first class there together, and then I just kept going it got to a point where I was going 5 to 7 days a week, and he never came back. I always think he just like served his purpose to help me find this yoga place. Yeah, and so yoga was always there for me, and I really didn't, I would do these weekend long workshops, and I really dove into the physical practice. And then in my practice, like in those deeper workshops and teacher trainings and stuff, we would get into meditation and pranayama. Pranayama is breath practices. I knew it was for me, but I wasn't ready to really dive into it on my own. And so I really didn't have a home, like a daily home practice. I had to go to a yoga class in order to do yoga. And then through a series, I also have been very freely open about how I'm also a recovered alcoholic. So I found myself through a series of, horrible life choices and disasters, let's say. I was a very highly functional alcoholic. I had a great job. I'm a marine biologist. I got my job straight out of graduate school. I was doing really well there, but I still, every night I was going home and drinking a bottle of wine with dinner on my own, and it got really dark at some point. And so then I found myself in recovery, and through this practice process of actually 12 steps, I finally got to the point where I was willing to look at all the things, like what was I really running from? What did I need to heal from? And dive into spirituality in a much deeper way. And then I wound up really committing to meditating every day. Actually, in the process of going through, after I had done the 12 steps, I was like, this one step is prayer and meditation, and everyone always talks about prayer in those communities, but very few people talk about meditation, or at least that was my experience. And so I really wanted to dive into meditation. And then I found Kundalini yoga. I found quite a few different teachers that brought me into it's like I said, with the intuitive, following my intuition, I would get these kind of just guideposts would lead me towards something. And then I would just know this is for me. It's like, oh, I'm meant to dive into this a little deeper. And Kundalini yoga was the first practice that it was like this yoga set, and I could say, okay, well, I can do that yoga set every day. And so then I started doing that, and I started doing a specific meditation every single day. And once I started that one, it was one of these classical Kundalini meditations called Kirtan Kriya. And I did it for 1,000 days, every single day, 1,000 days.
Which is like crazy to me because, we've talked about how even doing something for 11 days is like powerful or difficult for me and for most people. Like to do something for 1,000 days is just like so outside of my realm of understanding, and it's just like crazy. But
Which is probably why we wound up together.
yeah, and it's like I recognize that I'm here for a number of reasons, and that you're helping me grow in a lot of ways. And yeah, I was just looking at the questions that I'd written down for you, and the first one was, what led you to pursue meditation? And you kind of already answered that. And I think that this goes so much deeper, because as you have found the thing that led you to it, then that has like grown and evolved you in a way where you're like, oh, okay, this is why I found it, and it is like so different from why it is that you probably pursue meditation now. You've gone so much deeper within yourself and your own psyche and your own experiences, that it's allowed you to live in a completely different way. So I guess, my next question is, how do you stay so disciplined, and what drives you? But you want to talk a little bit more about, like, what is meditation for you now? How has it changed along the way? And what is it about these Kundalini meditations that you've resonated so much with?
What I love for people who have never done Kundalini yoga, and I will say, I also want to say disclaimer, there's been a lot of information that has come up about the founder of Kundalini yoga, Yogi Bhajan, and the bottom line for me, that all of that information came out in right kind of in the midst of COVID, and I just watched this whole community kind of just implode, and people just left, and these techniques and tools have a lineage and a root, and they work. At least that has been my experience. So one of the things that you and I talk about a lot is that you like to do the research and go deep down into learning something, and not so much necessarily book learning, but kind of, right? Where you're really searching and learning about why this is that, why this and why that. Whereas I, for some reason, I'm just okay, I'll try it, and I try it, and then I feel it. And if it feels right for me, and if my intuition tells me, yes, this is for you, then I keep doing it.
Which makes sense, because I think it's I'm the same way, but in a complete, it's I want to know first, I want to research it first, then I'll try it. And it's not necessarily like you have an intuitive knowing. You just know, you feel that it's for you. And for me, if I feel it changing my state, or if I feel it working, quote unquote, I'm very sensory oriented. So if I feel it working, then I want to do it more, which is why I think that I've kind of resonated with some of this, and some of it I don't, and it's really all about my own experience. But I think you have a beautiful way of just really knowing, no, I have to go deeper in this. No, it might not happen today or tomorrow, but in 1,000 days from now, it's going to work.
Well, that's funny. So one of the things about Kundalini, that the teachings, they offer quite a few different ways of going about meditation. And the way I encourage people, because the bottom line is, what meditation does is it helps you get to know yourself in a way that you cannot do while you're looking at a phone, while you're listening to a podcast, even when you're running or walking and not listening to something. It's still different than meditation. One of my teachers, Srimati, she always says, it's just different. Yoga, and she really emphasizes yoga and meditation, but yoga is so much more than an exercise, right? It's about getting into your body and getting into your breath. The breath is a bridge for us to come to access both our body and our spirit, right? And so that's why breath work is becoming so popular and so necessary in this day and age, because it's just it works so well. It's so effective. And that for me is what I really love about Kundalini yoga, is that it is just so efficient and effective. And we always joke about me and my German efficiency, but I really like to be efficient. I don't like wasting time. So what I encourage people to do is to try a meditation. It's actually more important that you do it every single day than it is that you do it for an hour or, a 31 minute. Like in Kundalini, we have 3 minutes, 11 minutes, 22 minutes, 31 minutes, 62 minutes. We have these specific times, and it's because physiologically things are happening in your body within that time frame. And so 11 minutes is a really great, solid place to start. But if you're not open to meditating, or if you're like, well, not open, but if you feel like that's going to be really hard for me to commit to doing 11 minutes every day, start with 3 minutes and do it. It's just so much more important that you create. So the other part about this is you do it every day for 40 days, and you literally are changing your brain. You're changing your habits. And then when you do it for 60 days in a row, you're able to you've kind of, not only have you created a new habit, you've kind of you're getting rid of the old habits. So that happens along this way too. You're getting rid of the old habits and creating this new habit. And then by 90 days, three months, you have really created this new neurological pathway in your brain. And it becomes this, it really cements it. And so then it only expands from there. And my experience with the 1,000-day meditation that I did do is that it just becomes a part of you. Kirtan Kriya now lives in my aura, all the benefits of it. And then I did do it a little bit longer. It is one of those things where you're kind of like, am I really going to stop this thing that I've been doing for 3 years, right? More than 3 years. And then I finally got that ping, okay, you can do a different meditation now. And I also do more than just, as you know, I stack different kinds of meditations. And so my sadhana is your daily practice. My sadhana changes as I need to change in whatever's going on in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about while you were talking was, in the work of fascia that I teach and that I've been studying and learning, it's we have this whole understanding that the fascia is completely intertwined with the brain, and how it's it actually is your brain. So it's all of this fascial network that's running in between every single part of your body. If you think about your body and your mind being separate, even though they're not, it's you have all the fascia that we think about in the body that's now communicating with the brain. And so when you're working through these meditations, not only are you changing the neural pathways in your brain, but all of the pathways that are leading to it. And I just think there's this whole embodiment piece that I've been really touching on lately. And one of the things that I have always admired about you is that you're just so grounded in your spirituality. And I think that's not always true for, a lot of people in this space, and also in some of the Kundalini yogis too. They can be a bit up here, a little bit airy, or maybe there's a misconception that that's the case. I think it just depends on the individual, but there's a lot of people that are trying to get somewhere, get out of their body, be up and so high all the time. And I feel you could easily get caught in that when first trying some of these practices. But I feel you have such a way of being so here in the present and the now, and also being so completely out in space and in the different realms of your mind and like other realms, or I don't know, we could talk about a lot in that, but it's like you hold these two ways. And I don't know, maybe we could talk about what Kundalini yoga is. Like, what's the goal for most people when practicing Kundalini? Like, a lot of times people think about the Kundalini awakening and the spine. And so, yeah, I don't
Or
know.
often people think of, well, and also I do want to say, like, I do so much more than Kundalini yoga. It was this opening into meditation and a daily practice for me that was so deep. And I kind of come and go from it now, where it's like I want to really, because as I was saying in the beginning with the disclaimer that there's all this stuff that happened with Yogi Bhajan, and the bottom line is it's just, I want to be able to leverage tools that are for this moment in time in human history, which they really are. They have been created for this moment when we're the information age. That's what the Aquarian age is this age of information. And we're just inundated with information. And so you have to be able to tune in so that you can tune out all that other stuff outside of you. And then also be able to tune into what's happening outside of you for awareness. Kundalini yoga is known as the yoga of awareness. And yes, people think of the Kundalini awakening and this energy that moves up the spine in a coiled, it's like a snake. It's actually more like a DNA spiral that goes up. The Ida and Pingala go up, 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 and they kind of intersect at each chakra. And then they also the energy comes back down through the Sushumna, the central channel. And this is what we're trying to do in all yoga. I have just found that in Kundalini yoga, it does it very quickly and very effectively. And not to say that that's like better, I mean, it just is the way it is. Like, it's for some people. I think people often, people who know people are into Kundalini yoga but aren't in it themselves often think of Kundalinis as like these like, oh, they're always high all the time, like high on their own. It's like, because you can get high on your own breath, right? Like,
Which is what we do in my classes too.
Yeah. But it is incredibly grounding when you practice it in its fullness, when you really hold all the different, you need to move. We move the body so that we can open up the pathways, these energy pathways. And then we also do all sorts of moving meditations. And one of the things we do a lot in Kundalini yoga is like hold the arms up. And it's kind of almost a meme at this point, right? Where there's like, people holding up their arms. And I've done meditations. I've done, days long meditation in groups where we're holding our arms up for 62 minutes. And it can be really intense, but what you're doing is you're training your nervous system. You're in this safe space. You're in this clean, pristine environment where everyone's there to meditate and do their own internal work and clear the subconscious bullshit. And when you hold your arms up, for example, for a long time, more than 3 minutes, about even 3 minutes, most people start to get very uncomfortable. You're showing your nervous system how to have resilience during stress.
So when you're doing this, like, what is going through your mind? How are you staying in it? How are you pushing past it?
Yeah, so you just decide. It's this level of commitment that you have to just decide. And and the thing that I always say as a teacher is like, so know the difference between your mind is telling you to put your arms down versus I have an actual physical injury that I need to make sure I don't re-injure, or, like something's going on with me physically. But your mind, your subconscious mind wants to keep you from succeeding. It's kind of like all that collective conditioning and programming is in there. And it just wants you to stay small. It doesn't want you to be the light of 10,000 suns, or, it doesn't want you to be the star that you are. And I mean, quite literally, star. We all are made out of light, and we come from stars, and the stars are beings like us, right? And so this programming of our culture and our collective human kind of consciousness is trying to keep us from expanding into that. So that's what meditation's all about. And the other thing I hear about meditation all the time is like, oh, meditation's too hard for me. I think too much. And I'm like, that is literally what your brain is made for. Like, that is everyone's experience. Like, it's kind of, I think the pop culture has made it seem like, oh, you just sit in lotus and you have your hands in a mudra and you're in bliss. Like, everything's unicorns and rainbows. Like, I also think a lot in meditation. That's just part of the process, but it's like the garbage has to come out for you to actually release it.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've definitely been conscious of, especially that I've been getting to know you and these practices more and more, is that like when the thoughts are rolling and running, it's like, it's actually, that's the work. It's being cleared.
It is working.
And like when I first got into meditation back in, back in 2020, when the world was falling apart, it was like, it was hard. But I think the thing that I realized is that like I started with a teacher that was teaching like a very simple, who am I, Buddhist style meditations. And, he was like, yeah, sit on a chair, sit however you can comfortably. But it's like from where I started in that to where I am now, it's like, not to say that I'm super consistent every single day, but I've also discovered that there's probably 16,000 different ways to meditate. And one of those ways might work better for you than another way.
For sure.
And of course, they all have different purposes and different, I don't want to say results, but like outcomes, that you could achieve. But it's like, okay, well, just because you didn't like that one flavor of ice cream doesn't mean you don't like ice cream.
Right.
It just means like maybe there's another one that you might like a little bit better. Yeah. So, yeah.
And that's why like Kirtan Kriya is one that has mantra. You're actually kind of singing a mantra, and then you're also, as you're chanting, you're breathing. But it's also a simple mantra. It's not like, it's just syllables, sa, ta, na, ma. But it also combines that with mudra. And so there's a lot that you have to pay attention to. So it's a great meditation for beginners for that reason, because it's hard to get distracted, especially when you're new to it, because you have so many things you have to be keeping track of. And that's what meditation, that's what a mantra is for. And that's what a mudra is for. It's a point of focus. It's to keep the energy, it's to keep yourself focused. Drishti is the same thing. When drishti is your eye focus, and it keeps you focused. When you can really lock in with your eyes closed to, say, the tip of your nose or the third eye, so like up and in to the middle of the forehead, and you can really keep your eyes there, it does all sorts of things neurologically, but it also just really helps you stay focused. And so these are all tools to help you so that you can clear some of that subconscious and unconscious garbage, essentially. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning. You would never not brush your teeth in the morning, right? And so meditation is like clearing your brain a little bit. That's the way I look at it.
You mean I'm supposed to brush my teeth in the morning?
There have been times where I have said, "Did you brush your teeth today?"
Only when we're having tea a little too early and I didn't get up in time. But I think, it's like one of these things, we've been talking a lot about intuition, and I want to ask you like what intuition actually means for you, but we've been kind of unpacking when you start to clear out all the things that aren't you, essentially, or that aren't serving you. I think it's both. Then you can get a clearer distinction of that voice that is actually there to help you.
Yes.
And for me, it's been showing up in like a lot of fear. And then underneath that is where all the emotions come up that I've been ignoring for so long. And so I think I'm like, for me, the one thing that I've always been chasing is how can I get the most clear guidance to lead me on the path that I'm supposed to be? And that creates a lot of nuances within itself. But I think, there's a lot that intuition comes with. There's a lot of things that people think of when they think of intuition. Mm-hmm. But how do you distinct those voices of the subconscious ego or the things that aren't for you? And what do you think intuition really is?
Yeah. So for me, it's all a great question. And I think just like you said, there are a million different ways to meditate. There are a million different ways to get to your intuition, and it's going to look different for everyone. The actual, like, your intuitive gifts are different too. Everybody's are a little bit different. I always like to, everybody's heard of clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is where you can see, you just, like, you can see things, and that doesn't have to be physically. Like, some people do actually physically see your aura, right? But some people, you close your eyes and then they can see it. It's almost like you're imagining something, or you're remembering. It feels like that. And then there's a knowing, claircognizance. And for me, I would say that's probably my strongest, it's this knowing. And I can't tell you why. I can't tell you like how, I just know it's true. And the only way to test that is to begin to listen to it and actually work with it, right? Like, do the thing that your knowing tells you to do, and then see what happens. And then sometimes you don't I knew that. And then, you say the thing like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. And you didn't listen to yourself. That's you ignoring your intuition. And then other people feel it more like it's clairsentience. Like, it's a physical sensation. People get goosebumps, people get chills, people get feel like wind in a certain area, or like almost like a gentle touch or something. And that can be like just your higher self or your guides. We could get into guides another time, but these beings in the spirit realms, it could be them like literally touching you to say, hey, look over here. Like, pay attention to this moment. There's also clairaudience, where people actually hear, like, they may actually hear a voice, but it's like their own voice. It's like when you're talking to yourself for a lot of people, but some people actually hear a physical voice. So it's really, and then there are others. There are more kind of esoteric ones, but those are kind of the main ones that most people have. And I really recommend that people tune in to it. Start a little bit of a meditation practice. It gets you to a point where you can kind of at least become the observer of your mind a little bit. And then you start to observe yourself in your daily life. And you're like, oh, I always do that thing. Then you can start to see these habits that aren't serving you. You can see yourself saying the thing to someone. Like, if you have relationships where it's always a challenge, and you begin to have some separation from this ego, and you can look at yourself more neutrally, I think. And so that's how I started to really tune in, like, okay, I got this ping. I call them pings. It's like a ping. Like, I just know to do X, Y, Z, do this thing. And then I try it. And then it's like, what do you know? It points me in this, it's like, it just keeps leading me down a path that is working for me. So,
which I think is like exactly coming back to the grounded spirituality. It's like, okay, cool, yeah, I feel all this and I see all this and I know all this, but I'm actually putting it into practice, which I think is where I really admire you for like putting it to test, to actually say, okay, cool, I'm a body that has to live in this 3D world, or this earthly plane, and there's so much magic here, and I'm gonna find out why. And you're actually here to like do the thing, and that only gets more and more expansive. And I think it's just so cool. And I'm also like thinking about the listeners that are like, oh yeah, totally cool, I have that, they know that, like all these types of gifts that you can have. And then some people are like, whoa, okay, that was outside of my wheelhouse, a little bit outside of my understanding. And for me it was like a trickling of like somehow I knew all these things to be true, and as I unwound, or I was starting to unwind all these belief systems, years ago, it was like I started to know all these things were possible, and then I started meeting people who were able, who had all these qualities to them, who had all these, like more supernatural gifts, and it just gave me this like, yeah, you have that too, and you might not know it yet,
right.
but like this is where you're going. And it just kind of gave me that big, like that spark and that drive of like, here is a little taste of your future. It's not going to be easy, but just keep going. And so yeah,
it can be so powerful to meet someone that can see you, right? Like, this is something that, and I'm not saying that everyone needs to go to get some reading from a healer or an astrologist or whatever, or human design or gene keys, whatever, all the things. But all of those things can help you really feel seen in a way that it gives you, it's like it validates these things about yourself,
Yeah.
And that often is the beginning for people. And when you hear, so, one of the things that I like to say, as I mentioned, I'm a scientist, I'm a marine biologist. I'm super practical and logical, because I do think that is the other part of why I can bridge these things, is that I can speak both languages, right? Like, I can speak to scientists and engineers, which I do all day long at work. And then I can also then like speak to my guides in, that no one else can see. And then I slowly started talking at work. I started talking about astrology, and people are like interested. And, I make this cosmic clearing spray that everybody at work now loves, because I spray it, and they just like, it's not just this that it smells good, like they can feel it's shifting the energy. And so I just slowly bring these little things in, and I also really have been, what I've learned is never to underestimate anyone, what they're capable of seeing, feeling, knowing. It's like you cannot assume that just because somebody is a construction worker or a, engineer or a mathematician, that they're not going to be able to go there with you spiritually. Like, I have found that they're often pretty open. People can be really open. And the thing that I always say about scientists and people who are like spiritual seekers, or people, diving into spirituality is the thing they have in common is curiosity, is being curious and open-minded. And we are definitely in a place in our culture and our society where there are many, many people who are not open-minded, right? It's like, no, this is the way it is. And that's fine. Like, that's their path and they can do the thing and we can just keep doing our thing. But people, like real scientists, are supposed to be open-minded, because that is literally what science is all about. it's like learning more.
Yeah, it's a beautiful reminder to remember that it doesn't matter who's around you. You never actually know. And I feel like there's a large group of people who are very much who they are, and they're stuck in their ways, or they have a one viewpoint about how things are. And I think there's another large group of people that are starving for like real connection and something that's a little bit more outside themselves, something that's a little bit different than what they've been taught. And I feel like you and I are people that are kind of here to lead the way and show people that, yeah, there is a whole nother world to explore, and that world is within. And then when that happens, it's just so much opens up for you. And there's like this kind of dance that happens between you and the creator or source or the divine or whatever you want to call it. And it's like you said, you can use that and put it to the test. It's like life starts shifting in ways where you have more synchronicities and people start coming to you, and you have all of these interactions that start to feel like magic, when in reality that's exactly how we should be living all the time. And so, yeah, it's beautiful to remember, like, oh, I can be me. It doesn't matter who's around me. And so.
Right. And that's the only way, as we move forward, as we get deeper into this Aquarian age, you have to be you. And by that, I mean like your authentic self. And I mean, that is one of those words you hear all the time, especially in the like wellness space. But it's so pivotal that you get to know yourself so that you can be yourself. Because so many of us, anyone who is an adult has been born in the Piscean age, this age before the Aquarian age, where we were meant to have these cultures that followed a guru, and had leaders that would tell you what to do, and that was just the way it was set up. And that's just not relevant anymore. Like, you are your own guru. There is no one who's gonna save you. You do not need anyone in order to be able to talk to God. You need to do it yourself. That's it. That's the only way. And so if you can't get to know yourself and really truly be you, then you're not really doing what you came here. My perspective is that we come here and we are born into this human body to evolve as souls, but also contribute to this collective awakening that's happening on this planet. And you came here to be something specific. And if you're not doing that, so say your parents conditioned you and they said, because they were also conditioned, right? They were programmed to believe you have to make a lot of money, and there are certain cultures, right, where all you can do, there are 3 acceptable things to do: be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, right? And you know what? All of those people who are born in those cultures they can't all be doctors or lawyers or engineers. They need to be
themselves.
They need to be themselves, and we need artists, and we need caregivers, and we need, we need everyone to be themselves, and then we all together. This is about this collective. So the Aquarian age is about collective energy, and how can you contribute in a way that is going to lift everyone up while you're still being really authentic to you. So this isn't about like martyrdom. It's not about like codependence. It's the opposite of that. It's that like you're being so uniquely you that you're contributing in a way that no one else can.
Yeah, and I think that I might not be the only one. There might be plenty of other people, but it's really the one thing that I've been coming to lately is like, how can I be me? What is the most direct route to being authentically me, and then sharing it with other people? And I think so much of the work that I've been doing the last couple of years has really been focused on figuring out what that is. And now it's starting to become a little bit more clear, and there's that whole sharing part that wasn't coming through. And so it's like, oh yeah.
You mean like opening your voice?
Opening my voice, having this podcast, having the things that I've learned and the things that I've experienced, and even just me as a whole, like how can I be that, and be that for myself, be that for other people, be that in a way that helps the collective. And I think that there's just more and more that's coming to my understanding and about what that actually means, and how I can really fulfill that a little bit more. And then it just ripples out into so many other layers that I'm probably not seeing right now, or I'm not going to see for a while. But it's so important that we really start to understand ourselves deeper, because then that's when your life starts. It's like,
and something you said, like, I think it's not just me, but I just want to say, yeah, it is not just you. Everyone. I mean, you meet so many people who are having that exact same kind of question. Like, wait a minute, what is right for me? What am I really meant to do? Like, I've been doing this thing in my life. So I meet countless people who are like doing some job that is kind of just slowly draining them, and it's like paying the bills or not paying the bills, right? But it's not really what they want to do. And then it's not about just like, it's also okay to do a job that is just pays the bills, that you like well enough, but it isn't your life's passion. And then you still have to have still to be able to have time and energy to do your life's passion. So as long as you have some outlet for that, and so for a lot of people, that's where you start. And then maybe eventually you're able to make that thing. Maybe you love plants so much that it's like, because it's this hobby, your whole house is filled with plants, and you have this beautiful garden, and then you start sharing those things with other people, and then you start a social media, account, and you have all these and then people start following you because you have this knowledge about house plants, right?
yeah.
And then maybe you can make it a thing, but it doesn't have to look that way,
No, I think it just goes back to in human design, they talk about this a lot, but it goes back to following your passion, right? And so I think when we start to think, okay, how much energy do we have? But also where is our energy going? And if the thing that you're doing for work, or the thing that you're doing every day, maybe it's looking at your phone or whatever it is draining you of energy, I think it's really important to start paying attention to that, because you only have so much energy. And when you can recognize, oh, that thing that I'm doing, maybe it's plants, that, it's giving you joy, that the energy around it is getting bigger and bigger, and I can feel myself getting more excited, and then you just start doing that a little bit more.
Right. And then it creates energy in your life, because it actually isn't true that there's only so much energy. Like, we all have infinite energy. We are infinity. We are infinite beings. And we all have also time and space doesn't really exist in other realms, right? Like, so time and space is kind of shifting as we were moving forward into the future, which is a whole nother conversation. But the bottom line is that we have this opportunity to really allow ourselves to be energized by what we're doing, instead of the other way around where like, oh, I need coffee to make. We drink tea because we love it and it actually grounds us. We don't drink it for the caffeine, although maybe a little bit. But I'm just saying, like, people are taking things and, you know, they're doing all these things to like help them stay awake and feel quote unquote energized. But really, it's if they were doing something that energized them, like breath of fire for 9 minutes every morning, like they probably wouldn't need it.
But I think that's exactly what I'm talking about. And even with the tea too, it's like we have these deep, dark, grounding pu'ers that are like, okay, we feel a certain way when we drink them. There's also the red teas that have a little bit more energizing expansiveness, and then there's other types of teas that make you feel a different way. But that's what I'm talking about within your life, is like noticing when you feel you feel nourished, you feel whole, you feel at peace, versus when you feel a little frantic or a little anxiety bound
or drained
and you're exhausted. And so it's just starting to understand how you are reacting to the life that you have created. And as we talk a little bit more about the present moment, I wanted to ask you, like, where do you see yourself going? And as we are starting to close 2025, I've been reflecting on like my takeaway, like what I learned from 2025. So what do you think in your life have you learned from this year, and where do you see yourself moving into? And is it more of like I'm figuring it out on a day-to-day basis, or do you have a vision for what it is?
Well, it's interesting as you just said that, which you did not tell me you were going to ask me that. So I'm like going with what came to me. My intuition told me what I have learned in 2025 has been about harmony and finding harmony and balance and holding all things to be true. And it's like, because I have my work, my career, quote unquote career, people think I'm a marine biologist. I swim with dolphins all day. That is not what I do, unfortunately.
Not yet. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, but only in tropical waters.
Not in the Santa Cruz Pacific Ocean.
But it can be, it requires a lot. And I'm like in a leadership position. So like it requires a lot of energy of me. And it has been this like delicate dance of like sometimes feeling overwhelmed and feeling a little bit tapped out, and then needing my time off to be way more restful. And I also like have accepted that like, it's not to say that I can't change the way things are working for me at work, or the way I have these like clear boundaries with my life, with work and outside of work. But I also can say, all right, it's also okay for me to rest on the weekends. Because I think a lot of people, our culture has really trained us not to be willing to rest. And then I found, so when things are like, okay, well, no matter what, I'm still doing a sadhana every morning. So that's still giving me this like connecting with my soul in a way that I don't necessarily do as I'm like navigating work, right? on a, just in meetings and talking to people and
even though you are
writing carefully worded emails. Even though I'm also like, it's really, it can be very much in this, like, just physical reality of like, this is what I'm doing right now, but I'm also holding this space for people. And I've had so many interactions with people at work where I have this capacity to hold space for them that no one else there can. And it's because they're not trained in these tools and techniques. Like, so I know I'm there for a reason. I know I met you at this moment, like a year and however many months ago, at this moment, for a reason. And it's all like, it's still, I can't say that it's all like super clear to me, but what it definitely is this like holding space for myself to find balance with all of it, with all aspects of my life, and to be this like goddess intuitive energy in all aspects of my life. And I can't say that I'm like walking in and telling our CEO like about meditation, but
no, but I think
I do bring an energy into the room,
Yeah, and I think it's like as we talk about this Aquarian age, things are shifting rapidly in the way that the world is going to work, and that includes all these like corporate places and these big companies where people are getting burnt out and they don't have the tools. And I know one of the things that you love to do is to be able to tell your team, like, take some time for yourself and like, let's be more efficient, right? But not in an efficient way of like do. It's like, how can we consolidate your energy to get the best and highest outcome for the company and for you?
Right.
And I like almost see you being able to transfer all these skills in maybe more of like a bigger setting, and maybe you're not working for your current job, you're actually like a consultant where you come in and you can teach certain people or certain organizations how to best manage their own energy. And it's like, I don't know, this is just what's coming to me as you're speaking.
It's interesting to think about. But yeah, I mean, I have a plan for me to be able to, because we haven't even talked about it, but sound is the thing that is really lighting me up now. And so when something, I think this is the take home, is for everyone, when you're kind of like, what should I do? Where should I go? Which thing should I do? It's like, what lights you up? What energizes you? What brings you, like, so I keep saying yes to doing all these sound baths and even like teaching some yoga classes and then we do these workshops together. And this month I have all sorts of things I'm doing on the weekends, and I'm going to be doing a lot for work. The new year, like early in the year, the beginning of the year is very busy for us. And it's like, oh, it's a hell yes. It just doesn't matter. I'm not going to be burnt out. I know I'm not, because I'm so energized by doing this, holding space for people in a sound setting, So that's what I would encourage people to do, is really just observe what lights you up. Where do you find yourself just losing time and getting into that flow state? That's what you need more of in your life. And you don't have to turn it into a business right away. Maybe it will become one in the future, but just keep doing it, because it really is about the practice. And so one of the things I've also devoted myself to, I invested in these beautiful crystal alchemy bowls, and I love playing them for people and in sound baths, but I've decided to play them every single day. So I do sound bath sadhana every evening
Which I love.
for you and Boo Boo, our little sound healer cat. And it's not long, it doesn't have to be a big huge thing, but it's this simple act of like, I am going to commune with these bowls and with these sounds and with these instruments every single day. And it's been pretty magical. It's been almost 6 months now that it's been every single day. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes in the coming year.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see you really being still so lit up by the sound and the bowls and the gong and all of these ways in which you can help people tune into themselves, help them clear some of these blocks. And then, it's like I'm working with the fascial maneuvers, and when, this last workshop that we had, when we get to combine the two, we hold space for 30 people in the room, and the energy was just so high, and you could feel it. And it's like I'm reflecting on both of us are doing the thing that's lighting us up right now, and that's rippling out. And so, yeah, it's just cool to see what can happen when you just keep doing what you truly desire, what's lighting you up, and then letting that fuel the way towards your success, or just your life path in general. It doesn't have to be like what you think of success, right? It's just
Right.
like,
and sometimes that may involve a pivot, and that's okay too. Just keep following the thing that lights you up. And I really think that I think this is a perfect conversation for people to listen to at the beginning of a year, right? Like, or the end of their year. I don't know when you're going to post this, but just right as they're kind of, people really get into this, what am I New Year's resolutions and intention setting for the new year. And I think it's a really good time for people to just be reminded to follow the joy and the light, and what really uplifts them, and go from there, and see what unravels, and have the trust, like have faith in yourself to just keep going with it.
Yeah, I think that's what we're here to do, right? And the more that we can do that, the more that life unfolds in a very beautiful and unexpected way. And yeah, let's see where it goes. And yeah, this conversation, us being our first one, I feel like was really fun and inspiring for me, and I hope so inspiring for the listeners as well. And so let's continue it. I feel like we have so much more to talk about, but thank you for being willing to hop on and share your light a little bit.
And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for I really look forward to our future tea sessions.
Yeah.
With the recording.
Yeah, I really feel like, this tea, like I mentioned in the beginning, is called happiness. And I do feel like it just brought this energy into the room, into the conversation that probably wouldn't have been possible. So, if you're curious about checking out Living Tea, I'll include the link in the show notes. The coupon code is VESSEL, VESSEL. And I think next time we should talk more about the tea practice, because we can kind of get into what that is, and why you fell in love with it and why I've fallen in love with it. And we can talk a little bit more about that. But I think this is a great way to close out 2025, and we will see all of you next year.
Yeah, see you next year.
Yeah. Have a beautiful day. Until next time. Wow, that was such an amazing conversation with Susan. I'm so glad to have been able to bring her onto the show and just talk kind of like we normally do, but really allow for this piece where we really called in the energy, and we were just like, okay, whatever needs to come through will come through. And I hope that you guys could feel the cohesive energy that was happening in the conversation. I know I did, and I know Susan did. So if you want to check her out anymore on what she does and what she offers, I will link all of her information in the show notes. And she has her own brand called Third Eye Science, and she offers sessions and does private sound baths. And so it's really, really cool to check out her work as well. And yeah, if you ever feel like there are more people that you think I should bring onto the show, or there's more concepts or things that we should talk about, I'm always open to feedback. I love being able to create a community and support however possible. So I will continue to bring on more tools that are relevant this year. And I'm really excited to see where things are going to go. I just feel like we really kicked things off with a bang. So yeah, a little bit about this week. We are starting the new year, and on New Year's Day, Susan and I are going to be hosting a workshop here locally in Santa Cruz at Breath and Oneness. It will be from 10:30 to 12:30, so it's a 2-hour workshop where we really dive into the fascia. I'll be leading about 45 minutes of fascial maneuvers, and we'll have a little bit of meditation and then round it out with a full hour sound bath at the end. So it's going to be a really powerful time. Last time we did this, like I said, there was just like 30 people in the room. You could feel everyone breathing and releasing together, and just like cohesive energy that really, really came in the room was quite special to experience. So would love to see you there. And also I will be hosting another online class this coming weekend on January 4th, which is also going to be kind of this New Year's theme. And I'm going to bring in the power of your body and allow you to come in, release stress, tension, and really set yourself up for a new year. So would love to see you for that. Check out my website and Instagram for the details. I have the event on Eventbrite, and it's just a donation-based class. So if you can make it, if you want to check out my work, would be amazing to see you there as well. And yeah, I look forward to the magic that we will create together, and let's see what happens. So have a beautiful week, a beautiful start to the new year, and I'll see you next time.